Hello, so I'm Adriann. I'm the team captain for South Africa, and we are talking now to Mauritz Bonnet, one of the JS technical support crew and crew member for Team South Africa. So Mauritz, this is your first time being at a World Gliding Championships. What has your feelings been thus far?
I've really enjoyed it so far. It's nice seeing all the gliders on the grid. It's the largest grid I've ever seen, even though it's a bit smaller than previous years that I heard. But so far, I really liked it a lot. It was great so far.
And thus far, what have your highlights been of this competition?
To meet the pilots we always hear about, so I've never met some of the pilots, and actually to work on some of the planes, and the entire vibe is really nice here.
So our journey from South Africa started many, many months ago when we began to prepare our gliders. Ati, in fact, built his glider from scratch to come to this competition. So many months ago, we started with bits of carbon fiber and plastic, and we ended up with a glider just, I think, 6 or 8 weeks before the competition started. These gliders then disappeared off into a container and hit the high seas en route to our lovely destination. However, unfortunately, we had some technical problems due to harbor strikes and other logistical issues that ended up with our container being delayed to such an extent that it in fact did not arrive in time. So both Ati and Ace are now in fact flying borrowed gliders, and their gliders have only just arrived at the beginning of this week in Germany. So logistically, they could have possibly had their gliders arriving today or tomorrow to fly the last 2 days of the competition. So for obvious reasons, we didn't do that. So Mauritz can maybe tell us about his trip to get here from South Africa.
Yes, so I flew with Ati all the way to Frankfurt. From there, we jumped a train to Menden, I believe it's called, and there we got our car and drove to MND, which is in the northwestern side of Germany, where we awaited the gliders, on further news of the gliders. So we waited there about 2 days, and then we got the news that they won't be there in time. So then from there, we picked up a club glider and drove all the way to the juniors in Czech first. And then from there, we went to Austria, slept over there, and then the last day drove all the way through Hungary to here at Szeged.
So how many kilometers is that?
I think it's 1,500 or 1,600 kilometers. We drove with the glider, and prior to that we traveled about 600 kilometers. So it's just above 2,000 kilometers we traveled.
Okay, so Jason, I spoke to you a few days ago, and we were talking about the position of South Africa in the rankings, and you were saying it's not about winning; it's about coming second, third, and fourth. Can you elaborate on that?
So thus far, guys have been doing extremely well.
You were ahead of the leaderboard when we last spoke. Are you still ahead of the leaderboard?
At the moment, in open class, we are second in the lead, but with a very, very small margin. I think it's something like only 20 points. So I think it's quite tight. And what I've noticed from the pilots is that this has actually put more pressure on them if they weren't in the lead. So they really are trying their best, and we're working really hard to keep calm and remain focused and not allow being so well in the lead to distract or influence us negatively. So I think they're doing quite well. 18-meter guys are also done quite well. We had a small hiccup with our 20-meter guys on the day when the weather turned bad and they had to land back. So that has had a little bit of a setback for them. But they're still doing exceptionally well, even considering the circumstances.
Okay, my final question is, what the hell do you do for a living? Because you're utterly professional at this. I mean, this could be your job.
He's a talk show host.
Jimmy Fallon.
Absolutely.
The South African version.
Absolutely. What do you do for a living?
For a living, I am an aviation consultant, so I do some work for Jonker planes, as well as a lot of test flying and working with a number of maintenance facilities.
Okay. So when this video goes on YouTube, you could find yourself as being a South African TV star?
Hopefully, maybe the next Trevor Noah, I hope.